I've just bought the cheapest 718 Cayman S in the whole entire country. I was the only person at auction to bid on this thing, and upon receiving delivery of it, I've kind of realised why. Let's face it, we're all guilty of it. Going onto Auto Trader, eBay, or whatever it may be, finding the car that you dream of owning and popping in lowest price first. The thing is, when you buy a Porsche, you buy it because you want one, not because you need one. I'm beginning to think, I don't want this. Now originally it was the Porsche 718 Cayman which was in my budget, and there was actually one on Auto Trader for sale. For £18,000 I could have bought a 2019 Cayman with only 13,500 miles on the car with a small front end knock. But if you could buy the Cayman S with the 2.5 litre engine as opposed to the 2 litre engine and 350 bhp as opposed to 300 bhp for around the same sort of price, you're gonna say yes, right? And in this particular case, after a solid couple of seconds of thinking about it, I decided to take the risk. Now we all know when buying a car from a place like Copart, you can't actually go and see the car before you buy it. We're relying solely on the photos that they take. Now I could be wrong, but beside me are the photos of this Porsche that were taken at the auction site. I don't think the damage looks too bad, alright? But I can't be naive here. Every time I've bought a crash damaged car from auction and then it's turned up, it's always been a lot worse than first expected. But when I was the only one bidding on this thing and the car didn't even meet its reserve price, I had a sinking feeling that I'd missed something obvious. Now the only positive I can take from this is that the Porsche was a category N, which means non-structural. I was just hoping whoever assessed this car got it right. Well, actually, I'm struggling to find one decent panel on this car. The passenger side is most definitely the worst, but moving on to the driver's side, it isn't really much better. Now, all of you have followed me on this crazy journey over the past 3 years after attempting my first ever crash damage rebuild on Hannah's Audi TT. And since then, I got the true itch of rebuilding cars. And with every one, I've tried to challenge myself more and more. But this one is most definitely going to be the most challenging one yet. Upon finding more information about this car, I think I've found the reason why nobody else bid on it. But before we get to that, let me show you all of this car's damage. So there's a lot of damage, and the best way we can sort of go through this is work from the front and go backwards, starting with this driver's side front wing. I have absolutely no idea what's caused this or how it's got in this condition, but all along this side doesn't look too bad, but the damage looks towards the top, and the only thing I can suggest is maybe this car has been on its back possibly a few times. The headlight is damaged. We all know how expensive headlights are. Bumpers, that's a no-go. But what looks intact is the driver's side front wheel and I dare say all the suspension. There is a lot of mud all in here, which would maybe suggest that this car's been in a ditch and possibly it was a wet day. And Hannah's going to tell you about this wheel anyway.
So it's supposed to have 10 spokes, but only has 9. And it's missing a caliper.
It is missing a caliper. Now the reason it is missing a brake caliper is because I actually took it off. When Mark came and delivered me the car, Copart lifted the car onto his trailer with a forklift. And the only way of getting the Porsche off the trailer was to roll it off. And with that 10-spoke wheel, which was now 2-spoke, there was a high chance it would roll round and cause damage to the caliper. And I didn't want to cause any more damage than what was already there. So with the caliper removed, I could put the 2-spoke wheel back on and just about safely enough roll it off the trailer. Now, buying a car you felt was falsely advertised can feel devastating. Trust me, I've been there. They found the worst. And that is why before I pull the trigger, I always check it out using CarVertical, who have sponsored today's video. CarVertical works in over 20 different countries and it gathers data from pretty much everywhere to make sure the car that you're buying is as advertised. Check out this report I did on a BMW X1. After you pop your registration in or VIN number, you can see at the top whether it's had any mileage fraud, whether it's been recorded as stolen, whether it's been in an accident, or whether there's any outstanding finance. On this BMW X1, we've got an amber light for an accident, so there's a report there. As we scroll through the report, we can see when the damage was recorded on the car, every time it's had an MOT test, every time there's been an ownership change or a plate change. And as we scroll further through the report, we can see that all the mileage all lines up, which is good news. But here's the juicy part, the damage. This X1 was damaged in 2016 in December. And just to add the cherry on the cake, CarVertical actually have the photos of when it was auctioned off at the car crash auction website. So now knowing this, you can make the right decision of whether you are buying this car or you're not. And just to show you what a good report looks like, here's a report on my BMW M3. We have all green lights at the top, we're all clear there, all the mileage all lines up, and there's no reports of it being damaged. So to check your car, a friend's car, or a car that you're potentially about to buy, you can do by clicking the link in the description box below, and with my link, you're going to save yourself a fair bit of cash as well. Thanks, CarVertical. Now, I never actually got round to showing you the full damage on the Porsche, so brace yourself. The driver's side wing mirror is missing, along with the wiring loom as well. The driver's side door has some pretty severe dents and holes. It's completely missing a side skirt. The driver's side rear quarter has some nasty dents in it here and here. The rear bumper has damage as well as the diffuser. There's no glass in the boot and it's pretty dented up over there. The passenger side rear quarter definitely took most of the hit. There's no glass here and there's no glass here. Side skirt's damaged, doors damaged, the front passenger side wing's damaged, front bumper's damaged, the windscreen's damaged, the A-pillars took a fair amount of the hit, the seat airbag's gone, the door card airbag's gone, and there's some pretty severe dents in the roof. So it's not really looking too good for the Porsche. In fact, I don't think there's any positives we can take from this. Well, actually, yes, there is. Supposedly, this thing starts, well, according to Copart, it does. Now, the engines on the Cayman are right at the back, but to access it, you can't just check underneath the boot here. I've never worked on a Porsche before, but I'm pretty sure to access the engine, you have to remove all of this panel here. But even still, after removing that panel there, I don't think you can actually access much. You can't even check the oil on these cars. It's another one of those modern cars which doesn't have a dipstick, annoyingly. But looking underneath it, I can't see any obvious signs of oil leaks or any sort of leaks coming from the back here. And to be honest, it's quite clear that most of the damage is more towards the top end of the car. But the one thing that is at the front of the car are the cooling radiators, which you can just about see here. And surprise, surprise, it looks like these have sprung a leak. But that shouldn't stop me from starting this thing. We probably can't run it to temperature because there might not be any coolant in there. But as long as there's oil in there, we should be all right. Okay, there's a fair amount of lights on the dashboard as usual. How do I scroll through this? Okay, we got low battery, refill coolant. Yes, so we are low on coolant. Check brake pads. Well, we don't have any caliper on there. Third brake light, low battery, and that should be about it. No warning for oil, so let's start this thing up. This is going to be a decider whether this car gets that little bit more expensive. Come on. First time she's running. We do have an engine management light, no oil light. I think a radiator fan is catching something there, but oh, it stopped. Okay, fixed itself. But yeah, something is definitely catching at the front. I'm not actually quite sure how these engines should sound. It's a 4-cylinder engine, 2.5 litre. It does sound a little tappety, but I don't know, maybe they're supposed to sound like that. I definitely think we can take this as a positive, the first positive. Another positive we can take as well, no dashboard airbag is gone and no steering wheel airbag is gone. This window work? Yes, we do have a driver's side window, but yeah, no passenger side window. But at least we have an engine which runs. That's definitely one positive to take out of this. So the question still lies, why was I the only bidder to bid on this Porsche Cayman S? So apart from the obvious that every single panel is damaged, this is my theory. So things like the wing, the bumper and the doors, they're all bolt on, bolt off repairs. But when we go to the rear quarter, well, this is actually part of the car and it's aluminium. It's all spot welded on, all along here, along the top and down here, even where the door bolts to it. And the same goes for the roof. It's all spot welded on, as flimsy as it may be. Now, even though it's taken a massive hit to the A-pillar, the roof and the rear quarters of the car, it's still a category N, which, as I previously mentioned, means non-structural, and I think they got it right. All of these parts are aluminium. They're made to be as light as possible to make the car better at handling, to make the car faster, and dare I say it, they're not actually part of the structure. I like to think of them more of a beauty cover than a structure. The structure of this car is all underneath this aluminium. You can see the frame just sort of bulging out from the aluminium here. And I think one of the reasons why I was the only bidder on this car is if the damage has gone as far as bending that frame or denting that frame, then this car is as good as scrap. The chassis is bent. And if you were to strip this all down to find out this part of the frame is all bent underneath or it's dented, then you don't really have a good parts car either. You're not really going to sell any part of this car and make any money off it. I've just noticed all the mud on the inside of this door card here, and I still can't work out how that's got there. The other reason I think I was the only bidder as well is because of the parts. Now, I know you can buy rear quarters and A-pillars for this Porsche. I've got the schematics and the part numbers of it here. The thing is, I don't know the price of them and whether Porsche would even sell me them in the first place. Now, remember when we first picked up the Aston Martin and we called them to find out whether we could buy the parts for it, but the main dealer wasn't actually allowed to sell structural parts to the public. You had to be an Aston Martin registered repairer. And the same story could go for this Porsche. Although I don't think these parts are structural, I don't know how they're going to take it with somebody who's not a registered repairer, more of a DIYer, replacing things like the A-pillar and the rear quarter. The time now is 20 to 6, so Porsche will be closed at the moment. So I guess I won't find that out until tomorrow morning. So I guess the big question is, do I have enough in this car to make it sort of sensible to repair? But before we find out exactly how much I paid for this, I wanted to get it inside and on the ramp so we could check underneath the Porsche.
Now left hand all the way down.
Okay, so before we do anything, we've checked the outside of the car, but we haven't checked what's underneath the car. And there's one thing that me and Liam can't get our heads around. So we're saying the car was rolled on this side. All the glass is smashed, the airbags have gone out on this side. Most of the damage to the rear quarter has been done on this side. But the side that doesn't have a wing mirror is that side. This side, it has a wing mirror and there's not even a scratch on it. There's literally not one scratch on it. How? I don't know. Okay, here we go. Most of it is just all a cover, really, and like really. Taking a hit here, but again, it's just a cover. What this part of the exhaust? Part of the exhaust, but the exhaust looks alright. I think this is just a under tray. Oh, that was very close. I think this could be the engine sump, but this is bent up there, look, into it. So close to breaking that. So close. So close. This has definitely been, oh my God, that has definitely been put in a ditch, isn't it? And a wet one. Oh wow. Yeah. But actually underneath, bearing in mind, actually a lot of it is all covers. It seems, oh, there's a lot of mud here as well. But it seems all right. It seems okay, to be honest. But we haven't stripped it all back yet. But so far, so good. So at least we've taken some positives from the Porsche. The underside isn't that bad. Well, it's definitely not as bad as the top side. But is this worth the repair? Have I got enough money in it to sort of make it worth repairing this thing? Well, I'll let you guys decide that, because we have the blackboard of expense, and I paid £18,500. Cayman S's around the same year and mileage are going for around £49,000. That's not a categorized one though. So have I gone completely mad with this one, or do you think it's worth repairing? This is definitely going to be the biggest rebuild that we've ever attempted so far, but if we pull it off, this is going to be one sick car. So if you're new here and excited to see the progress as much as I am, be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out. This is the CD that was in it.